difficulties this morning, so I will call the meeting to order at 9:05 a.m. and I'll ask everyone to stand for the singing of the national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. At all si porti for this world that he says one for sends you stand on. Canada, we stand on. Stand on.
Are there any additions to the agenda this morning?
Not from administration, Your Worship.
Okay, I do believe that there is the addition, which will fall under department reports, 11.3. It's on our agendas online, but it's not in the printed one. So, oh, okay, okay. So we don't need to add it as an addition then? Oh, okay. Okay. Is there a member of council that would like to adopt the agenda as presented? Councillor Sheriffs, all in favor? Councillor Gammana, are you online? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can, and I'm in favor.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Any corrections or amendments to the June 26, 2024 regular meeting of council minutes? Can I get a member of council for a motion to adopt the June 12, 2024 regular meeting of council minutes? Councillor Clark, thank you very much for that. All in favor?
In favor.
Thank you. That is carried. We have no proclamations, no public hearings, no delegations this morning. We have a very light agenda. We only have 3 decision items. First decision item is 9.1, which is the appointment of the deputy mayor this morning.
Sorry, just realized that was me. Thank you. The Municipal Government Act, Section 152(1) states that a council must appoint 1 or more councillors as deputy chief elected official, so that A, only 1 councillor will hold that office at any one time, and B, the office will be filled at all times. As per policy C-03-14, the position of deputy mayor for the town of Drayton Valley is held on a rotating basis for a term of 8 months. The order of rotation is based on the number of votes that each councillor received in the election in descending order as follows. There is a grid there. I won't go through that. Within policy C-03-14, council may choose to change the order of appointments. No real financial impacts to this, no impacts to service levels. No requirements for communication strategy on this appointment. Administration respectfully recommends that council approve the appointment of Councillor Rick Evans as the deputy mayor for a period of July 1st, 2024 to February 28th, 2025, as defined in report AIR-24-156.
Thank you very much for that. Any questions for administration? Is there a member of council that would like to make a motion? Councillor Clark or Deputy Clark, you have a few more days.
Few more seconds, yeah. I will make the motion that council approve the appointment of Councillor Rick Evans as the deputy mayor for the period of July 1st, 2024 to February 28th, 2025, as defined in report AIR 24-156.
Thank you very much for that. Any comment, question, debate on the motion? I'll just say that I want to say thank you very much, Colin, for helping out and everything that you've done. You've got an opportunity to go out in the community. You did a couple grads and were able to celebrate. So it's always nice to jump into a different role and kind of see all the things that I guess that the mayor has on or I have on my plate. So thank you very much for everything that you've done. I really appreciate it. And I welcome Councillor Rick Evans as the next deputy mayor. He's not here today, but he thought maybe he was going to have to say something or do a speech. So maybe we could task him when he gets back with a speech or a dance or something.
He doesn't have an opportunity to say no.
That's right, right? Okay, there's a motion on the floor. I'll ask all in favor.
In favor.
Thank you very much. That is carried. Next up, we have 9.2, which is the proclamation of special days and weeks policy. Mr. Wally Ferris again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The town of Drayton Valley recognizes the value of commemorating local events and/or efforts of not-for-profit organizations and milestones for local businesses, organizations, individuals, and community groups within the town. These are often recognized by proclamations focusing the attention of the community. Excuse me. Proclamation of Special Days and Weeks policy was reviewed in May 2024 and has been updated to include the following. Requests for a town-issued proclamation or application for recognition of a special day or week shall be made in writing or by email to the administrative assistant or executive assistant, or by completing the proclamation request form submitted through the Town of Drayton Valley website. There are no legal or risk implications, no real financial implications. If the request is consistent with the criteria of this policy, it will be provided to the mayor for review and further to council for approval. It should improve service levels a little bit because we're adding a fillable online form. So before it wasn't fillable. Now you can go online, and if you have a proclamation, you can fill out that form and send it in. So administration respectfully recommends that council approve the proclamation of special days and weeks policy A-02-22 as presented in AIR 24-147.
Thank you very much for that. Any questions for administration? Go ahead, Councillor McGee.
Use my microphone. And weeks policy A0222 is presented in AIR 24-147.
Thank you very much for that. I did have a couple questions under responsibilities where it says requests for proclamations and or special days or weeks shall be approved by council. Is this prior to coming to council, or is this the actual proclamation that it says in the policy? Like typically sometimes they'll come through as a request. Are we wanting to approve them prior to them coming to a council meeting? That's what it sounds like. So I'm just wondering.
Essentially, is, you know what, I should know the answer to that question. I'm sorry, I don't.
That's okay. It says, yeah, it just says under responsibilities, requests for proclamations and or special days or weeks shall be approved by council.
Does it happen before it comes to council?
Typically it hasn't.
Essentially, it's the same process that we've been following. The only real change that we made was to put the proclamation fillable form online. So if we've been, I think what happens is I believe there's an email that goes around that says this proclamation is coming. And if there's any issues around it, then we might hear about that through email, but I believe it's approved as part of the proclamation. When you
Okay.
read the proclamation.
So when I read it, that's the approval? Okay. And,
Go ahead.
and then the second one was under procedure. It looks like we changed it where we said, or you can email to the administration assistant or executive assistant. I was just wondering if we should include in there requests that are sent to the mayor or council, because I know that I have quite a few that just get sent to my inbox. If that should be in there as well.
We can certainly add that in.
Okay.
I don't anticipate an issue there.
Okay, so yeah, just to mayor and or council. And that's it. Councillor Clark, did you have something?
Yeah, I just have one thing. Under the procedure, it talks about at least 4 weeks prior to the proclamation date or date of recognition. But then when we look at the proclamation request form, it says it must be received a minimum of 2 weeks prior to the meeting being requested. So just for the sake of continuity there, we should choose one or the other, 2 or 4 weeks, I would think.
Yep, you're correct. We'll go with what's in the policy. So if that is 2 weeks, then it is 2 weeks.
It's 4 weeks.
4 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, and then on the form it says 2 weeks.
We'll fix that.
Okay, so in the motion, are we fine with the motion, just with the language changing, or do we needing to amend the motion with the couple amendments to the policy?
Other point that when I looked at it, I thought, so 4 weeks, 2 weeks, and sometimes people just aren't on time. And so I wondered if we just had a little piece that said unless circumstances require.
That happens all the time, Councillor McGee. We honestly rarely do we get them 4 weeks in advance. So yeah, I mean, if our policy doesn't really say that, then we have the exception. I mean, we accept them coming in early. Proclamations are usually not that controversial, right? So I'll use Lemonade Day as an example. You know, we're not gonna turn that down. They're fairly easy to orchestrate and bring in front of council.
Right, so it's not necessary to put the wording in is what you're suggesting.
Well, we would very much like to see them come in at 4 weeks or 2 weeks in advance. But if they're last minute and they're non-controversial, then you know, we're going to accept them.
Okay.
Okay,
So the motion would read that we council approves the proclamation of special days and weeks policy A0222 with the amendments presented this morning in AIR 24-147.
okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Any comment, question, or debate on the motion? Milla's got nothing. Okay, the motion's on the floor. I'll now call all in favor.
In favor.
That is carried. Okay, and our last decision item this morning is 9.3. Mr. Thompson, Fire Command Truck.
Morning,
Good morning.
Mayor and Council. This morning, I'm here to present an update with the Fire Command Truck. During the 2024 budget deliberations, Council approved the purchase of a new Fire Command Truck for the cost of $78,200. That included the purchase of the vehicle for $66,000 and then the additional cost for emergency lighting and radios for $12,200. This is a cost-shared item with Brazeau County. Unfortunately, due to supply and demand issues, the cost to purchase the vehicle alone has increased approximately $8,000 from the original quotes that were received in early 2023. So consequently, the cost for the town has increased an additional $4,000. The increased cost of the project for the town will be $4,000, so the town's portion will now be $43,100. So making the recommendation that council approves an additional $4,000 for the fire command truck to come from unrestricted surplus for the town's portion of the additional cost for the vehicle as presented in AIR-24-157.
Thank you very much for that. Any questions from administration? Go ahead, Councillor Clark.
The obvious question here, I think, is has Brazeau County made a decision on this already? Or?
I'll be going to their council next week.
Okay.
During their council meeting.
Councillor McGee?
I see and I didn't notice it before, but Wolf Chevrolet, do we give everybody the opportunity locally, and that's what we do is tender it out?
Yeah, that was our first choice to go to our local dealerships, and you just can't get them. Like, we're looking months and months down the road to possibly even get a chance to get one. So we're just trying to get one wherever we can find one.
So it's this type of vehicle then that,
Yeah, it's not necessarily just the type of the vehicle. It's with the additional what they call the police package, which has the beefed up suspension system, heavier brake system for emergency response.
okay, gotcha. Any other questions? If not, is there a member of council who would like to make a motion? Councillor Clark?
I will make the motion that council approves an additional 4,000 for the fire command truck to come from unrestricted surplus for the town's portion of the additional cost for the vehicle as presented in AIR 24-157. And I don't know if it's worth mentioning that it's contingent on Brazeau County or. So is it worth mentioning it's contingent on Brazeau County's contribution, or I guess one way or another we need it, right?
Yeah.
All right, we'll just leave it as is.
Okay, thank you very much for your motion. Any comment, question, debate on the motion? If none, then I'll call all in favor.
In favor.
That is carried. Thank you very much. And that is it for our decision items. Wow, that was very quick this morning. No council initiated items, and we'll move right into our department reports. First up, 11.1 Community and Recreation Services Department Report. Mr. Hans von Klaveren, good morning. I notice we're all wearing blue today. Yeah. We all have got blue. Good morning.
Thank you, Mayor, and through the chair to the rest of council as well, of course. So this is the Community and Recreation Services Department report in front of you. So a couple of items to highlight over there. You see that we have at the ECDC our wait list. We talked about that for a while, of course. At the moment, we see our wait list decline, go lower to, at this moment, 21, or even a little bit lower than that as of today. The reason for that is what you most likely are aware of. We have commercial daycares starting up in our organization, in our community. And we see that people take those places. We did calls to all our waitlist people that we had on there, so we get better information. And we are around that 20 mark for our own location for daycare space waitlist. It's a great thing, of course, that people can find spots, but we still have demand for our own municipal daycare center. The FCSS, the tax returns, every time we report on that it's ongoing. And now tax season is over. We can say that we did 580 tax returns support for our residents in our area. So that's great support, of course, done with volunteers and a lot of effort. Canada Day is our big item, of course, coming up. So a nice celebration again this year. People see the posters, it's mentioned in here as well. So when the weather is cooperating, then the fireworks can take place, of course, again. We have our events inside, which we've done for a couple of years now, anticipating on the weather that's sometimes not cooperating, but we are ready for a great celebration. And of course, our parade in the morning is always a great event. So come on out for that. In the Omniplex, we're looking forward to the next event. One of the events that happened was the small town big party inside in our Omniplex. A great attendance of our community coming out, and looking forward to the event August 16, when the Community Foundation organizes that outside in our downtown area. And we had the fair happen, the Midway, great weather for that as well. It was great to see that for 3 days out. And a lot of people also showed up in their prom outfits, because it falls together with those events as well. So it's nice to see photo shoots happening in our fair in the Midway with prom dresses and outfits. The ice schedule is being made. Ice is going in already in the third week of July. So we think after Canada Day, there's a little bit of a downtime, but no, we'll get the arena ready for the first making of ice, so that we are ready for hosting in August. In the pool, the Life Saving Society is our program that we run, of course, for our lessons. We are affiliated with the Life Saving Society. That's different than the Red Cross that we did for many, many years. So in this case, one of the nice things is that they keep tally and track how many kids we have going through our courses through the Life Saving Society, so our swimming lessons. And that's why we went to Calgary to the general meeting over there from the Life Saving Society, because we got 3 awards for the amount of swimming lessons that we have kids going through in our programs. So that's great, of course. We are a smaller community, under 7,500 residents, but even if you add up everything, we would rank 3rd place in basically Alberta. So we have a lot of kids and a lot of people going through our programs of the Life Saving Society in our new facility. The Splash Dance is over there still advertised, but in the meantime, it's canceled due to low ticket sales. So unfortunately, we have to pull the plug on that event. It's a event that our pool staff was putting on. We did it for a couple of years back in the day, but unfortunately, there were low ticket sales. We had to cancel that event, so it's not happening, and that's not tomorrow happening then. For community services, Cadence Court, it is ready. So our new renter goes into that unit that was renovated after it was abandoned earlier in the year. And that means July 1st, we have a new renter going into that location. In the Youth Advisory Committee, we still have vacancies. So if there's youth in the community that wants to be part of a committee that is advisory to council, but very active in getting input from our youth population, there's still 1 vacancy on the committee. So reach out to either the FCSS / at the Rotary House, the people over there, they can help you out, or go on to online and find application form for committees. In the facilities, you see 1 item standing over there that says asbestos testing, especially when people think the food bank, but they are in the midst of trying to do a small renovation on it to make an outlet client window in the walls. And we had to make sure that there was no asbestos in the building. So there's no asbestos, and that project can most likely continue and go forward. Those are the items, if there's any questions.
Thank you very much for your report. Any questions for Hans? Just say congratulations on the awards. That's exciting to hear that we're providing those types of services and programs to our residents in the area. So that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing. And also quite surprising, well, to me, that 3rd week of July that the ice is already going in. I thought you were going to come and tell us that we were putting in roller skating for the summer.
Yeah, so of course, thank you for that. But yeah, so we have multiple sheets, but for sure, ice is a week earlier in demand this year, and we see those questions coming out from, let's say, camps, our Thunder, of course, starting up. So we see it a little bit, I think it's almost 2 weeks earlier than previous years.
Okay, so those are users that have requested then to come in earlier?
That's
Is that
correct.
how it works?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make ice when it's in demand.
Oh, perfect. Councillor McGee.
Just a quick question on the Early Childhood Development Center. I'm always a bit confused about the federal government coming down with a $10 a day daycare. And then when we start to see more people opening centers for childcare, how do we fit? Is it about price or is it about the center itself or, are we at $10 a day for daycare or is that just a myth?
Thank you for that question, Councilor McGee, and through the chair to everybody. So let's split those two things. The $10 a day daycare, when you hear that, currently we are at an average of $15 a day daycare in Alberta. So an average, that doesn't mean that everybody's paying $15 per kid per day, but the average is at 15 right now. And the goal is to go to $10 a day on average daycare. So the province is supporting to help to get to that level, either it's municipal or private sector daycares. The other thing of the spaces and the amount of spaces, so the province has done a lot to create new spaces, so supporting new space built. And that means that it's equally, if that's for any entity that starts up. So the support to create new spaces has resulted in a lot of commercial private daycares to start up at this moment and fill those potential spots. So those two things, $10 daycare, we are sitting at an average of $15 at the moment. We see the province supporting that still to get to that average payment of $10 per day for daycare. And the other thing is the injection of supporting new spaces will most likely, let's say, peter out a little bit once those spaces are created. The bigger challenge as a third item is, of course, the professionals, our daycare staff. That's the bigger thing. Spaces creation is buildings. That's nice, but it's the staff that's going to be a bigger issue to get that up to speed for the amount of daycare needed.
So each daycare that opens will be in an average of $15 a day. And out of that, you require staff to do all of that. And I think that's where it's going to not really work that well. Because staffing is it's difficult at best, but you also have to be, you have to be in that living wage. You have to pay. So I find that interesting that it's competitive now and how that might change.
Yeah, thank you. And that is indeed a challenging environment. The cost control framework is the other type of, let's say, reporting and getting those dollars from the province is another challenge, of course, because that's how the province regulates those subsidies that they provide. It is a complicated area, and yeah, we will see pressure on those centers, and even we experience that pressure on our center to keep it in control for price tag, for what you can charge the parents / the subsidies that the province provide to get it there, and the increase in cost on the other side.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Clark.
Yeah, you're right, Tom. I think the numbers we've seen, I think, is we're going to be short 9,000 workers in that space in Alberta alone. So that's definitely a huge issue. I was going to talk about this in my council stuff, but I might as well now. The cost control framework is it's pretty complicated, right? What the province is looking at is going, okay, $10 a day, and that's going to be subsidized, right? So it's not like, town of Drayton Valley, ECDC is only going to get $10 per kid. It's going to be subsidized, of course. But where things get muddied is, you look at municipally run programs versus private. The private, there's really no controls on them in terms of what they're paying their people. You have to have a basic number of people trained to a certain level. So what the municipally run groups are trying to do is get some controls around that and standards, right? So we're all playing on the same field, and we're not watering down the early childcare delivery, right? So a couple other things the minister has said. They need to understand what the costs are from a private perspective as well as municipally, because there's a difference there, right? We're probably paying our folks more, giving them benefits, stuff like that, right? And of course, the private sector is not happy with that. They don't want to provide any sort of numbers to the government from that perspective. It's a private business, and why should they, right? Fair enough. But one thing he has stated is he does believe in quality childcare. It looks like that cost control framework is probably going to be in place next year, not this year. And then lastly, the cost control framework is going to be negotiated in a regional setting. So Calgary, Edmonton, of course, your costs are going to be completely different than say Drayton Valley, right? So regionally, they're going to negotiate them, which I think is probably the right thing to do. So from our perspective, that's probably a good thing, right? So as well as the people who are sending their kids there, because costs are going to be, like I said, a lot higher in Calgary, Edmonton than they are in Drayton Valley. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your report. Next up, we have 11.2 Growth Services Department Report. Mr. Nambi, your eye.
Thank you. For the Growth Services Department report, starting with economic development. The first update is that the Rural Renewal Stream program remains active. We now have received 272 employee applications. So there's still a lot of demand for the program, which is great. Also, just to note, on the June 4th County Council meeting, the county did
Unanimously?
unanimously carry the vote for the RRS program, which will allow for it to be extended to county businesses, which is really exciting. So we'll now just be having a chat with Colin and sort of see what that will look like. When it comes to education, so we have completed the first draft of the education management plan. We sent it around to the senior leadership team and other staff internally. And so we're at a point now where we're just getting back feedback and refining and correcting a lot of what we received for the first draft. And so at some point, the plan will be to bring that forward to council. Outside of that, the Drayton Valley Community Outreach hosted a wellness fair on May 30th at the Frank Maddock High School, so which we're happy to be a part of, and and to showcase what we have in education. So that was great. And then on June 17, 2024, the Joint Recreation Board approved for the Student Recreation Package Initiative to be sent forward to both respective councils, which would allow for students of the Registered Nurse Program to have access to a reduced rate for our combined pool and fitness center pass. So that's something we'll bring forward as well. And now, when it comes to sustainability, with some great news, the Clean Energy Improvement Program was officially launched yesterday. And in it being launched, we actually received a quick email from Alberta municipality saying we did receive one pre-qualification application already. And so, and so on top of that, we'll be sending out mail drops sometime this week to approximately 2,491 residences, just to get the word out. It'll also be in the newspaper as well. It's on our website, and it's something we'll also have on social media. And so we did also try to get Drayton Valley businesses involved and hosted a contractor webinar in partnership with Alberta municipalities. And so we basically reached out to 30 Drayton Valley businesses that we thought could fit within that scope of work for what these projects demand. And so 10 were interested, only 2 showed up, right? And so, but in talking to Alberta municipalities, this is typical. And after the program is up and running, what would tend to happen is that residences will reach out to businesses, and then they'll start getting interested. And so the hope is to basically continue reaching out to them and at some point get more Drayton Valley businesses involved. And that's basically it.
Thank you very much for that. Kundi, could you just elaborate a little bit on the Clean Energy Improvement Program? Just, we have a few people online, just maybe kind of just give the little Coles notes of what the program exactly is. You don't mind?
Yeah, no, certainly. So the Clean Energy Improvement Program is a financing program to the town that will allow for Drayton Valley residences to make innovations, or I guess energy improvement innovations to their homes and residences. And so, this might include things like upgrading your windows, your doors, and adding certain appliances that makes you a little more energy efficient. And in doing so, there's an application process that the residents will have to go through. And as they're going through their application process, there's a part that's dealt with Alberta municipalities and other aspects are dealt with us. And the way that this will work is that, if the upgrade to the house is approved, we would then just work on a financing agreement with that individual. And we also have a set interest rate that they would have to basically pay as time moves on. And and the hope, honestly, is that this is the opportunity for individuals to make those upgrades to the home that they might not have thought to. And if they didn't have the funds, this is just an easier way, right, of accessing those funds.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Any questions for Cindy this morning? Maybe just a question around the rural renewal stream. So we've received 272 employer applications. We've had a discussion with the county to jump on board. You did send a message a little while back about another municipality that didn't perhaps give it the best review. Have you heard anything else about the program? I think that the brakes were put on it for a while and then it kind of opened up again. How are we feeling about the program moving forward?
So honestly, it all depends on which municipality you talk to. You get mixed reviews. So the municipality, Sylvan Lake, they opted out of the program. They, went through the report that they submitted and they basically said it wasn't meeting, the core requirements that they had initially, the program. And so they just decided to step away from it, right? So those were their reasons. And if you talk to other people, though, they feel that it is fulfilling a need for them. And in regard to us, in our move to get the county on board, this, I think, will allow us to sort of increase our scope to other industries that haven't been involved so far. I think in looking at our data, we mostly have fast food restaurants, a few hotels. That's the main, demographic of businesses that we have. And so in expanding to the county, we can hopefully start to get those industry-heavy businesses, that can benefit off something like this as well. And so it is something we just, constantly just try to evaluate as we move forward. So far, it's working well for us. There's a lot of demand for it. There are questions about capacity. I do know certain communities are worried about the number of people that come, if those people can find housing and accommodation. And so on our end, we were able to work with the Multicultural Society, with the Drayton Valley Community Learning Association, informing a newcomer committee. And so in that newcomer committee, we are trying to figure out ways to help, those new entrants that come into Drayton Valley with the support and resources that they need. So we are trying to take those proactive steps just to be mindful of all the people that are coming to the community and that might need services. And so far, it's working really well for us. And but if anything should change, for sure let council know about that.
You let us know. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, we are looking and hearing about housing shortages for sure everywhere we go. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. As well as, do you hear from our residents or do people come into the CTC looking for jobs and saying that there aren't jobs? I know in other communities, just kind of talking to people saying that there really isn't jobs available, right? Like those types of retail jobs, or like you said, like hotels and stuff like that, that our own residents or other communities where their residents are trying to find jobs, there's that job shortage. So are we getting that feedback, that anything?
Through to the mayor, no, definitely. So we do have quite a few people come to the CTC or they just reach out. Because on our website, we do have an email for them to sort of send their inquiries to. And honestly, you get a lot of people internally and externally as well, just looking for jobs, just trying to find a perfect fit. And so the way that this program works is that they are quite intentful in making sure that whoever is hired and endorsed through this program has the background and education qualifications. So that does make it a little harder, right? A lot of the jobs are entry level. And so it might not require as much. I think high school education is just the standard. And apart from that, a year of experience within a certain role. And so it's always an interesting mix of trying to connect those individuals to employers that are looking for whatever they have in their background, in helping that business. And so that's always a tricky part. But every time an employer does have a job request, we do try to post that job on our job posting bank. So we do have on our website, we do have like a job posting post. And so for any business that's looking, to hire, we do try to help them to cross promote it on our website as well. And so that's another way we just refer people to our website.
So we promote it locally too for residents to apply?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Thank you. Councillor Gamana, do you have a question? Councillor Gamana, do you have a question?
I do. Thank you very much. This is for Kundi. It's great to hear that county came on board with our RS program. I think it's going to benefit both communities where we are filling well needed workforce for our community, and now we can help the county businesses with their needs as well, whether it's filling early childhood development shortages as discussed before, or oil and gas industry needs as well. So I believe it's a great program. There's always challenges here and there, but I think we are doing very well, and that's what I'm hearing. And it's great to have that program for our community and growth of our community. My question is, Kundi, when we had those discussions about our RS program, has there been any initial discussions about the RES program yet?
So through your worship to Councillor Gamana. So we did reach out to the county about the Rural Entrepreneur Stream program, but of course, there's a lot that's going on in the county. I do believe they've already announced that a new CIO is coming in. And so even for the RRS program, we are just waiting for some of those changes to happen so they can get back to us and we can start just seeing if they're interested in doing something like that. I do know for the county, the one major issue that they have is that they don't have the internal capacity. So they don't have the people to service a lot of these programs. And so when we have a discussion with them, that's certainly something that will come up. And yeah, so we'll definitely gauge them and see if that's something that they're open to doing, if they have any interest in it, and we can see how we align with it. So those discussions just haven't happened yet. Just waiting for them just to get back to us when they're ready.
Thank you. Did you have any other
Thank you.
questions?
No,
Amela?
thank you, Kundi. I think that's. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello? Okay.
yeah, we heard.
No,
Yeah,
that's
thank you.
great to hear.
Okay, thank you very much for your report. Next up, we have Ms. Terry, 11.3 with municipal services. It's not in your printed one, but it was sent. Do you have it, Tom? We do have a printed one? It wasn't. No. No, I have one. It was Tom that doesn't have it. Thank you. You have one, Colin? You have it? Morning.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and members of council. Apologies for getting my report in late. So it didn't get into the agenda package.
No worries.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with utilities. So minor repairs have been done to 39 CC valves with our hydrovac so far this year. Multiple locations contributing to issues in the sanitary sewer system have been notified of potential costs and associated fines in the future. All but one staff have attended ICS 200 training. Engineering plans for the wastewater upgrades are in motion. They are coming out on June 19th and 20th to start scanning all of our areas for detailed design. Planning of the Canada Day Parade has started. Utilities is taking care of the float design this year. Beaver Dam was spotted in Ivantoe Park causing flooding issues. This dam has been removed. Quarterly acute lethality was sent in, and unfortunately we failed the sample and have now entered into accelerated sampling again. These failures stress the need for wastewater treatment upgrades. Parks, mowing operation is ongoing. Changes to mowing routes have been ongoing and staff are starting to get the hang of the new rotation. It will take them time to perfect the routes, but they are doing a great job making every effort to follow these changes. Maps have been created and provided to the staff daily to help aid them in mowing all areas required by the town. Weed whacking operations is ongoing. Routes have been created with mowing maps to help them complete the weed whacking after mowers have completed mowing these areas. Staff are still getting used to these changes, but are making every effort to follow the new schedules. Flower planting is still ongoing, but getting closer to being completed. All hanging baskets have been hung. Unfortunately, the first day that all the baskets were up on the boulevards, 3 were damaged and pulled down. We made some changes to the clips, so hopefully that prevents this from happening again. They've now been reinstalled as well. Flower watering is ongoing and fertilization of the flowers has now commenced. Hedge trimming operation started on June 18th. The locations trimming has been completed in are 50th Street and 50th Ave to Scotia Bank, Omniplex Civic Center, and the bus hub. Special events have been planned out and areas have been mowed and weed whacked for the Midway, Frank Maddock Grad, Ball Tournament, and National Indigenous Peoples Day. Graffiti is ongoing, but our hydrovac has been addressing these as they come up. Mower training with seasonal staff is still ongoing. 3 staff members have been trained on mowers since Monday, June 17th. Public Works, sweeping is ongoing. We've completed the whole town cleanup and are now working on maintenance runs, trying to stay ahead of this as line painting and crack sealing will start soon. Grading back alleys is ongoing as well as prepping roads for dust suppression services. Due to recent rain events, dust suppression has been delayed. We had it scheduled for this Thursday, but unfortunately, the weather shows that we're not going to be able to get that completed this week. Pothole repairs is ongoing and staff are focusing efforts on the crack sealing routes and line painting routes. Cemetery landscaping is ongoing. Sponsorship signs have been installed at 19 locations for the flower beds that have been sponsored this year. First round of mowing of ditches and large green spaces has been completed and operations has now started on the second round of cutting. Crack sealing activities were scheduled for June 26th to June 28th, but with the rain events in the forecast has been postponed to next week. Line painting will start next week along with crack sealing. We'll just focus on the roads that we're not crack sealing first and then get to line painting after. Traffic light inspections commenced on June 25th and today as well. This work is required twice a year to stay compliant with regulations on traffic lights. Landfill and engineering, still reviewing the snow dump proposals submitted to the town. We are close to finalizing these reviews and believe we know who we will be awarding these services to. The price submitted meets all our current budgets. Fortis Alberta seeking approval and inspection of electrical distribution to install new 3-phase commercial service, installing pad, duct, and grounding at 5705 58th Ave. We're working on giving approvals for those. TELUS is seeking approval and inspection for installing new TELUS duct for existing TELUS service box to existing pedestal to support fiber for customer at 4985 41 Ave. We hired a new scale attendant. We're maintaining the roads at the landfill. That's an ongoing operation. We submitted our GHG report to EPA for 2023. We submitted provincial waste disposal data submission report to EPA waste measurements for 2023. We're maintaining the cleanliness at the recycled depot the best we can. Mulching of wood at the Omniplex from when we cleared trees for the disc golf course. And of course, the trees we accept at the landfill has now been completed. 50th Ave construction will commence on July 2nd, 2024. This season construction activities will require a complete road closure from the alley between 47th and 48th to 43rd Street. Border paving will start the work by milling out the asphalt to speed up ADCO gas line relocations in the area, and communication will be posted today to the public. We have notified everybody that's going to be impacted door to door already. And I open it up for questions.
Thank you very much for your report. Any questions? Councillor McGee?
It's the, we look after the Cenotaph across from the Legion?
Yes,
And that cemetery, so that's all our work.
correct.
I had a citizen ask me about the traffic lights on 54 Avenue East and West at the Esso. So if you go east and west, is there, I don't know if we have to put any buttons in or it sort of seems to last a long time and bear with me on my knowledge about that. I have no idea whether you can time it differently or.
I'll look into it. It most likely will come out of the inspection report. I do believe that we have identified one streetlight this year that has a camera that malfunctions that detects vehicles, and that's what changes the lights. So it's not on a timer per se, but it is that's causing some issues, and it could be potentially at that location. So once we get that final report, we'll look at what repairs look like.
So yeah, I didn't know that. So there's the car and trigger.
Yep.
That's it. Thanks.
Councillor Sheriff?
Could you? Sorry. That's okay. For the utilities, number 2, multiple locations contributing to issues in the sanitary. Like, could you explain that a little bit?
So we've had a couple instances where we've went and checked some of our lines, and we've found heavy amounts of silt in the system close to car wash locations. So in those areas, we've sent out letters to those individuals. As our bylaw does state, they have to have proper screening and maintenance of their sumps, so that doesn't enter our system. So those are the locations that we've seen some major issues.
That's it. Councillor Commander, do you have a question? Councillor Commander, do you have a question? Okay, I see you have your hand up. Maybe it's because you're in London and that's why. It's delayed or something. Okay, I just had a quick couple questions. When you talk about the stress and the need for the water treatment upgrades specifically, could you remind me which upgrades that would cause or not cause this to continue to happen all the time?
So that was the pilot that we've been doing. So we've done that Sager pilot that removes the high nutrients in the wastewater, which is your ammonias and phosphoruses. The need to remove that, bringing that down, those levels are toxic. So we need to bring those down. And that's where the upgrades will come in, and I'll be presenting that in the 2025 budget deliberation.
Okay, yeah, because this seems to always happen, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's why we're required to do upgrades, and that's why we're working towards those upgrades.
Okay. Just a couple other questions I had. I guess they were things that really weren't on your report. So there's no fountain in the Aspen View Pond right now. Is there a reason for that, or is it just not been installed? Because it's starting to get quite sludgy.
I do believe that we are waiting on a part.
Oh.
So when we went to install them, there was a failure on a part, but I'll look into that further and confirm where we're at with it.
Okay, and then I noticed that the Marat ponds, their fountains aren't working either, and it's quite green there.
Okay, I'll look
Yeah,
into
both of them
those.
aren't. And then just west of the new school, there's a sign that's there, or a base of a sign, and the sign is missing. Is it our sign or is it?
No, I spoke to Wild Rose. It is their sign for the school.
Oh,
So they're working on getting it out of there so that we don't have to mow around it anymore.
okay, because I was wondering if somebody took our sign or what it was and things like that. And then the other question was the boulevards at the Omniplex. I know we talked about it, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, of doing like maintenance and kind of beautification and stuff. I don't know, is it on your rotation, like when the staff go out to kind of pick, because the weeds are quite high there? You know, the little boulevards right across from the Omniplex all throughout there. They've got like weeds and everything like that. And we talked about, and I think it was last year or the year before, is just throwing down some new mulch or gravel or whatever it was to clean them up. Have you talked about it since you've kind of come on board, or is it still on your radar, or?
I did notice it the other day, so it is on my radar.
Yeah.
right now we're just trying to kind of catch up on the weed eating, because we're quite behind, but I will look into it and see what I can get done. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's the islands where all the trees are in the
Yeah.
parking area.
Yeah, and we talked with them a couple of years ago, saying they looked a little bit rough there, just to even add some mulch or something. So I know it was on our kind of summer tidy up plan a couple of years ago, so I just wanted to follow up. I wasn't sure since you've jumped on board if you were aware of it. And then that's it for me. I just want to say that the flowers look great. All the hanging flowers and baskets look great. When you come into the town office, the new planters look fantastic and all the hanging flowers. So great job. It looks beautiful. A little bit at a time, we're getting there, so I appreciate it. Councillor Sheriffs?
I just have it's kind of a question, I guess. BCG has the mats that you put around trees. Remember we went and seen something with
The
that
Bio
be-
Composite Group, yeah?
Yeah, would that be something maybe we could look into? I think it's kind of a weed control.
Yeah, around the trees. in
Yeah,
those-
around the
yeah,
trees,
maybe.
instead of mulch or rock or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll look into
Yeah.
it. I know I have a few already, so maybe we can look at putting those out. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your report.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on the agenda is council reports. Councillor Gamana, can you hear me and do you have anything to report on?
No, not at this moment, as I was trying since the last council meeting. I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to Councillor Sheriffs.
So on June 13th, I was at the Brazil Foundation meeting and I received the plans for the new addition that they're planning on doing. I'll pass them along. You guys can have a look at it. I'm sure they'll be coming to council with more information. I had the Yellowhead Regional Library meeting on June 18th. I had a meeting with West Central Airshed Society, Councillor McGee, and we're talking about plans for their 30th anniversary, right? Coming up next year and planning a big event in probably CTC building. So that's quite exciting. And then on June 21st, we did the Métis flag rising and it was just this really, I want to talk about a really unique moment because once the flags went up, there was no wind at all. So all the flags were just hanging loose and somebody actually said out loud, it would be nice to get some wind. And the two Métis flags actually started floating in the wind. So that was kind of a very unique moment, very cool. And that's about it.
And no other flags moved, right?
Right, just
It's
those
weird.
two. It was
Yeah.
very, so we could actually see what the flags looked like because before that, we couldn't even really see what they looked like. So once the wind just blew for about 5 seconds and showed us the flags and went down. So that was really neat.
Thank you for your report. Councillor McGee?
But the Central Airshed 30th anniversary, connecting with the likes of Rob McIntosh and other folks that were, and other folks that were involved in setting up the airshed because it was at the time of the blowout. So there was lots of things happening, and so I think it'll be well planned, and you'll hear more information from Monica and the West Central Airshed folks. They're excited about having it here in Drayton Valley, and so we look forward to that.
We were the first location.
Oh, good.
First site.
Right. So that's the West Central, the Alberta Forest Products Association had an open house. A good opportunity for us once again to let Weyerhaeuser know that we care about them in our community. And Wendy was there from Drayton Valley, and so we had a conversation. The minister was there, so it was a small, intimate group of people. And the one thing that came out of it is they're looking to take a contingent of people, mayors and reeves specifically, to Ottawa to talk about rail. Rail isn't as important to us as it is to others, but I think they would welcome for us to join that contingent, because it's the contingent that's going to make the difference if we all go en masse and say, we need to look at rail, we need to look at the price of rail, not the cost to build rail, but the cost to ship. those types of things. So you'll hear more on that, hopefully, like a two-week turnaround. So we'll see. And in the last couple of 3 or 4 days, I've been, Safe Talk was a Healthy Community Coalition initiative where they're teaching you about suicide. And one of the things that was interesting was it's a safe, so you have 25 people or so taking the course, and it makes the community suicide safer, which they don't seem to fit those words, but in reality, it's about the mental health and men's mental health and all the things that are happening around that. I just took a full day course yesterday in that with HCC, and so it's been rather interesting specifically for me on a personal basis. A meeting with Daryl Scott on tomorrow to talk about JUPA. And it's going to be with Lola, and so the youth help. The youth are running out of space, and the schools are closed, in the evenings. Is there a way we can get access to the schools? We've talked about that for some time. We want to, I would always term it as try to get the keys away from the janitors and the principals, right? And start using those facilities. And so we'll have a conversation with Daryl Scott, that. And that's my report. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that. Deputy Mayor Clark. Till July 1st, so if something
Okay,
happens
till
on the
July
weekend,
1st.
you're still,
I'm still on the hook.
you're still in charge.
Yeah, a couple things. Drayton Valley Brazeau Rec Board, we had a meeting about that. Talked about the student rec package. And I guess the voting members there decided that it was a good idea to have a standalone package for this as an option for users. So Hans, is that something you're going to be bringing at a future? Okay. So Hans is going to be bringing that at a future meeting to discuss and vote on. The next topic we talked about was the zero fee tuition. Apparently Brazeau Council's made a motion to add as a 2025 budget item. And apparently there is lots of excitement about it on their council. So,
Oh, that's really good to hear.
yeah, that is good. We also, so when we had our meeting, it was at EPAC. So what we've been doing is just rotating between all of the kind of shared facilities, having our meetings there. And EPAC came and presented their conceptual idea for expansion and tour. So we got a tour on that, of that facility, which was good. Which brings me to, we call it the DVB Rec Board. But should it be DVB Rec and Culture or Arts? Because it does include that shared facility at EPAC, right? From a funding perspective. Because I guess what I'm thinking is there's really no internal committees that look at EPAC really, right? EPAC has its own committee, but there's really nothing from a shared perspective that discusses that facility, right? So do you lump it in there?
So are you talking about the internal rec board that we have?
Yeah, so pool, Omniplex, places like that are included. But at what point do we talk about that in a shared capacity, right? So arts, culture, I don't know, DVB Rec and Culture, DVB,
Yeah.
just a thought.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an external committee. Maybe Hans could give us a little bit on thought on that. Oh, wow, you're so tall.
Yeah. I can stand like this. Thank you for that question and that topic to be brought forward by Councillor Clark. So the
Oh, is the
name.
mic on?
Sorry?
Is the mic on, Hans?
Yes, it's green.
Oh.
So the naming of the board is indeed the Joint Council Recreation Board. In the terms of reference, there's one time mentioned in there that it's about recreation and cultural activities. So that brings, of course, those cultural events and EPAC in that sense into the discussion, but it's only mentioned in the terms of reference in there internally and not really highlighted in the name of the board. Well, it might be a good idea, as Councillor Clark says, that maybe in the naming would support that to be part of the board's mandate as well, to take a look at cultural activities indeed.
So would we be taking away any thing? Like any discussions or any, I guess, concerns from the EPAC committee that stands?
No, I don't think so. I think it, because like I said, it's a shared facility, right, from a cost perspective. You know, maybe that's a place where EPAC can go and talk to the board there because, you know, you do have representation from both councils there, right, 2 and 2, as well as eventually we'll have public representation there as well. Just a thought, just thought I'd throw it out there. It's not a big deal, but to capture, I guess, the actual, you know, it does include culture and like you said, in the terms of reference. So, you know, why not throw it in the actual name?
Yeah, we can think about it. Okay, thank you.
So carrying on, a couple other things. I did attend the Frank Maddock 2024 grad ceremony. And it made me realize I'm 25 years out of high school. So it makes me feel a little bit old. But yeah, lots nice to see lots of young faces there, happy faces and some sad faces. But for the most part, it was a lot of fun. A couple other things. One, the childcare board chatted about some of this stuff already, so I won't go through it all. Like Hans mentioned, we're down to a wait list of about 10. We're usually at it's 50 or 60, something like that. Still a full complement of kids. There's 47% Braz, 53% Town of Drayton Valley kids. But we're seeing now that 72% of the kids attending are subsidized. Usually that's around 50%. So that's the numbers are bumping up there, and for a myriad of reasons, economy, who knows. One of the budget items they're kind of contemplating bringing to the 2025 budget is a backyard reno. There's just some things that need to be done there to make it look a little prettier and a little more usable with kids. And an interesting factoid, so in 2023, there were 94 missing children from childcare facilities in Alberta, which is kind of alarming.
Wow.
94 province-wide. Obviously, we haven't had any in Drayton Valley, but you know, from a provincial perspective, that is a little alarming. So what they've done is just really hammered home the need to, you know, have the correct number of people there, eyes on the kids and all that sort of thing. So I think we're doing pretty good, but just a little reminder to our own folks that don't let up kind of thing, right? So that was good. That's about it for the childcare board. Two other things. One was the elevated learning and childcare in Alberta, a collective responsibility. So a group called the Association of Early Childhood Educators of Alberta, AECEA, reached out and asked if Drayton Valley would support this this letter to the minister. And it talks about just upping the quality and I guess the benchmarks for folks looking after the kids in our province. So I think it's kind of a no-brainer, but thought I'd bring that forth and as a discussion point. And then lastly was the AHS letter to support Breton and their lack of doctors. We were kind of approached by PPRC committee to provide a letter in support of Breton, jointly with PPRC and Brazeau County to support Breton. So I think we have that written out. We just need to discuss and decide if we want to send it.
Mhm. So yeah, just the two last, they came through email. Those are the ones that we talked about, Wally. I gave Colin the letter back, the Alberta Health Services, just so council can say, hey, are we on board for sending the letter for Pembina on behalf of Pembina Physician Recruitment Committee?
Yeah, it's jointly.
It'd be jointly with the Braz. They already sent a letter. And this is the letter that Colin's asking to go out coming from the committee. And then the ask for the elevated learning in childcare, is that a request? Like, did you talk to Bernice that she supports this? Yeah.
Yeah, so she got that from the AECEA. She forwarded it on to us for consideration, and yeah, I think it details exactly what they're asking for there.
So we would just kind of
Just
draft up our own.
Yeah, throw our name behind that and attach it.
Everybody's on board with the two letters. We need a motion, Wally, for that, or just?
Nope.
No, we're good.
Should be good there.
Okay, perfect. Then yeah, we can get that one, have that one going, and then I think, can you resend it to me?
Mhm.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I tried looking through my emails and I couldn't find it. I know I seen it quite a while ago. And is that it for your report?
That is it for my report.
Thank you very much. So for myself, I had a few developer meetings. I'll talk a little bit further about it in closed. Mid-sized Mayor's Caucus meetings. And we're preparing for our meeting with the Premier, which is coming up next week. I'm very excited that we got the time to meet with her. Mid-sized Mayor's Caucus is a committee that I sit on. We want to introduce ourselves to the Premier. We want to address matters that directly impact rural, small communities like Drayton Valley. This meeting will give the executive committee an opportunity to emphasize the importance of investing in infrastructure and supporting the growth in small rural communities like ours. So hopefully she listens and here's what we have to say. It's just one of our first meetings with her, so very excited about that. I attended the flag raising Métis, Local 888 and the Elders Along for the flag raising that was last week that Monica chatted about. Economic development meetings, which I'll talk a little bit further about in closed, and interview with the Free Press in regards to the Mayor's Gala that's coming up and the new category of oil and gas and kind of how we chose the nominations and categories and things like that. So just been really busy with kind of things like that in meetings, and that is it for my report. Is there a member of council that would like to accept the department reports and council reports as information? Thank you very much. Councilor Sheriffs, all in favor?
In favor.
And that is carried. We have a couple council items that I've added here. I'm not sure if anyone else has, does anyone else have a few things to talk about in here? Council initiated items? Just wondering if we should call a 5-10 minute break first. Okay, I'll call a 10-minute break and then we'll come back. Okay, we'll reconvene the meeting. Actually, I can't reconvene the meeting yet. I have to wait for Councilor Sheriffs because we do not have quorum. Oh, Amila's online. Amila, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect. We do have quorum then. Okay, I will reconvene the meeting back at 10:30 a.m. And I'll jump into council items. I had added a few things here in regards to when we attended FCM a couple weeks ago. There was a couple things that Councilor Gamana and myself and Tom had great discussions around. The first was with the company called Forest Green Police Solutions. It's a proposal for the town of Drayton Valley, and it was from the Camrose Police Department, and can't exactly remember the gentleman's name. If you remember it, Amela, jump in. There was a gentleman from K Division, and what they're doing is they're sending out proposals to start conducting criminal background record checks for municipalities. So right now the RCMP are doing those, and we've heard from Acting Staff Sergeant Ryan, and then also when Troy was here, that it does tie up quite a bit of their time. Just because now when you're volunteering, whether it's at the school or organizations and groups like that, you have to go get a background check. So they get quite backed up with that. So this company and Camrose Police and K Division have taken it upon themselves to start kind of doing these checks themselves. So us as a municipality, we did get their card. We could reach out to them and we could take this service over if we wanted to consider it from the RCMP. And there would be an annual revenue. So what it does is the proposal, we put a URL link on our Town of Drayton Valley webpage, and this is available 24/7. So you don't have to now go into the RCMP or wait and things like that. You just would go onto our website, you scan it, your check goes in, and then with that is a cost that I think it ends up being $5 or $10 more for the applicant than what is at the RCMP, but you have the 24/7 access, and then it's quite speedy. So proposals there if we want to consider it. I don't know if you had anything to add on that one, Amila?
Not really. I think you covered it very well. Thank you.
Okay, so there was that one. I can forward the card to Wally if we want to kind of explore it and see, get a little bit more information about it. Did you have something that you wanted to add?
I was going to say just that, Madam Mayor, is that if Forest Green
Police Solution?
Police Solutions would like to get a hold of administration, we can clearly understand what they're proposing and identify any potential impacts.
Okay, perfect. So I'll forward you, if everyone's good, then that card. Second up, we met with a gentleman, his name was Oliver Capone. He spoke with Amila, myself, and Donna from the county. I believe Bart might have even had a conversation. It was in regards to conducting a feasibility study on energy consumption and solutions for our facilities. So we've already kind of done that first step when we had Aisha here, that she kind of, brought that all forward. So now they analyze that and they look at some of our facilities where you can save. So the first question we had said is, how much does it cost? And he said that the feasibility study is free of charge. So we thought that was almost too good to be true, but they need a combination of 1.5 million in total for your facilities for it to be feasible. So we were saying, like, between the county and the town, we could come up with, our facilities, Omniplex, the new swimming pool, we could look at, whatever buildings we need. The county was on board, CTC, things like that. We've kind of done the legwork. Again, that's just a matter of, if we're interested, giving the card to administration reaching out, seeing, what this is actually all about and this company is about, and if they'd come and do it, I guess. County was on board as reaching out to the gentleman as well.
If I may, Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
on this one, so these programs, yes, the feasibility study is for free. And they'll make recommendations in there around building and facility improvements. And you have to implement those improvements, and then how they earn their money on that is they'll take half the savings after you've implemented the improvements. So what I've seen in the past is that the recommendations come forward and they're usually quite substantial. So we just need to be careful that it's not going to create a report that given our current situation, we can't act on. So that would be my only caution there. But if they wish to get a hold of us, we'd be happy to have a discussion again to understand all the details that they're talking about.
Thank you for that. Maybe, Amila, you could elaborate here a little bit more. Honestly, he said that it wouldn't cost us anything, and that's why we were all like, I guess there's granting dollars out there, federal granting dollars, as well as a bank that's investing in this. Amila, can you maybe add anything on this one? I'll just give you the card and then you can reach out and, yeah, because like we said, we all thought it sounded fantastic, but it was kind of one of those, sounds too good to be true. But we thought, it's worth maybe doing a follow-up, getting all the details, and then seeing if it's doable or not, right? So there was that. And then the other thing was, we had come across a camping and RV industry in Alberta. They provided us with information, asked us if we were members of their association. They were saying that a lot of municipalities belong to them and things like this. So I guess just the question was, do we belong to the camping and RV industry in Alberta? Is there a benefit to belonging to the association? I do have the card as well. Do you know anything about that, Hans? Okay. Okay. Yeah, we just thought if there was benefits or, something by belonging to it, it would help us. And then I have here, Tom, you connected with someone in additional supports for the trail expansion, perhaps. That was kind of a green initiative, right? That there might be a follow-up there as well.
Yeah, and actually it was just a chance conversation. but the person, and I didn't take their card because what they did is just took my QR code. And then they said, we'll be back to you and here. And so this particular person though worked at the beginning of our EPBR. And so was part of that, the expansion of our park. And so knew the community really well. We talked about the Weyerhaeuser path. And from there, she said, well, you know, that's just what we do. And we just need to connect it. Then from there, we'll take you by the hand and we'll get some federal funding for this. And so I was really excited. I haven't heard from them, which isn't, I don't think is bad. It just, I think they're compiling things that they need to do. She seemed to be more enthusiastic because of Drayton Valley and what we have, and the fact that we're basically shovel ready, so we could start scraping that area. So I'm going to try to reach around to see if I can get a note off to somebody through that, because it'll be in the FCM website. So
Okay.
I'll chase around a little bit and say, okay, listen, I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, yeah. Seemed like there was some interesting discussions. So if anything comes out of it, I think that the RCMP one sounds very interesting. So I think that one's definitely worth
Yeah. And I sent a note to Jeff McKay, and I've got no return. So I don't know. It's kind of odd.
It is kind of odd, right? Yeah. Okay, so that was it for me in regards to that. I do have last on here advocacy discussion. That's in regards to our hospital. There is kind of rumblings that Rocky Mountain House Hospital residents have signed a petition and their council and things like that because they're trying to close down the operating rooms maybe, and as well as the scope. So there is rumblings that that could be happening here. So the ask is that if we as council would advocate on behalf of keeping the operating rooms open and making sure that, you know, that this doesn't happen in our community as well. So I you know, reassured this individual that we're kind of always doing these efforts. We just sent another letter to Alberta Health Services. Wally and I have a meeting coming up with Alberta Health Services as well to discuss this. So it's all those issues that we continue to push on when it comes to our operating rooms, our CT scanner, the recent closure again of our hospitals over and over and over. So I don't know if anybody else has anything to add on this, but I don't think that there'd be a problem in supporting the advocacy to keep the operating rooms open. Okay, and does anybody else have any council items?
With the this discussion about Rocky Mountain House and Drayton Valley and smaller communities, the initial government of the day is saying we're going to use 4 pods. So are we fully aware of that, and does it fit? Excuse me. If it fits, then we should be trying to understand that, right? What does it mean to us? And of course, excuse me, we talked about changing our zone. So is that summertime work?
Yeah, we keep hearing about the 4 pillars and about the zones and all this and that, but I don't know if anybody's heard any movement on what actually is happening with Alberta Health Services. And, you know, we get that it's coming. And that's kind of all we get, right? Mr. Ferris, did you have anything to add?
Just that we did recently send a letter off to the minister saying that we're positioned to, you know, support them in their new model. And we did mention the zone issue in that letter. Other than that, no, I don't think there's been any information come out from the province with respect to the rest of those 4 pillars.
Yeah, it's kind of like they announced it and then we're all waiting of what it's going to look like, right? I know that in the request, Bree had for Wally and I to meet with Alberta Health Services, who we initially wanted to meet with, is no longer in the position that she is. She's now working on the provincial side of those 4 pillars. So that I found that very interesting that there is movement, but what it looks like, I don't know, right? So very interesting.
Is the chief of staff out of, I think she's in Sylvan Lake for the hospital, right? Or what, a medical officer or chief of staff or whatever it is for the Drayton Hospital?
Yeah.
I think she's positioned in Sylvan Lake. And I'm curious to see, like, it probably makes sense to invite her to maybe some of those meetings, right? Because I'm guessing she doesn't know what's going on in Drayton.
So you're saying our hospital's chief of staff?
Is in Sylvan Lake.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think they have to have a hospital. The chief of staff is positioned there though.
so,
Typically, it's a local doctor that fills it, but there's no local doctors that want to take it. So ours is in Sylvan Lake.
oh, wow. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because that makes a lot of sense, right?
So, yeah, exactly. So I was told by one of the physicians that it's probably makes sense to reach out to that person and loop them into what's going on because they've likely never even been to Drayton Valley. So,
Do you have their contact?
no, but I can probably get it.
Yeah, if you could get it and then we could reach out and have a conversation as well on our little Alberta Health Services tour that Molly and I are going on. That's what I just named it. Okay, if there's no other council items, we have a few information items listed here. Letter to the Minister of Transportation, letter to chief elected officials, Brazo Foundation, May 16th, 2024 meeting minutes, 2024-0603 Opportunity Home Letter. I do see the letter here. I thought we talked about, were we going to include all the letters that are coming in here? Oh, as they come in?
Sorry. As they come in, we add them under, I call it correspondence received, but under information items as they come in. So if they've missed the deadline for
Okay.
this agenda, they'll be on the next.
Okay, yeah, because there's quite a few there still. Okay, any conversation around the information items or questions or anybody has there? There was just a few new letters there. No? Is there a member of council that would like to accept these as information? Councillor Gami, thank you very much. And is there a member of council that would like to move us into a closed session? Thank you very much. Council Sheriffs, all in favor? That is carried.